This is Jason with Chicago News, and this week we're checking out this 2018 Lexus NX300, which is really just a renamed NX200. It's been redesigned, it's got some new features, but essentially the same vehicle underneath. Like we've talked about with a lot of Lexus vehicles recently, there's really kind of an odd look. They're going for a really edgy design. Sometimes it just ends up looking weird. Another thing about design is its form is always supposed to follow function, and here you've got this really deep angle to the bottom of this bumper cover, which if this were an off-road vehicle, you'd think, okay, well that gives you a good approach angle for going up inclines and that sort of thing. But literally no one is going to use one of these for that. So it's a little bit of an odd choice, and it doesn't make for a very good looking front end. Most people buy SUVs or crossovers like this for ease of use, to be able to put lots of stuff in them. So you want an easy to use liftgate, and here we've got a foot activated version. It does take a minute for it to go, but it works every time. You've also got two buttons here to close it with. You either just got a simple close button or a lock button, and this will lock the whole vehicle. So if you're done and ready to go, you can hit that and just walk away. You don't have to wait for it to close to lock. And you can also close it with your foot if you want to as well. It may look sunny and warm, but it's actually pretty windy and cold. And I know this thing's got heated seats. Let's hop in and try them out. Inside this Lexus NX300, I have to say, this is an improvement over previous generations that we've tested. There are some really good materials here, in particular with the luxury package that's on our test vehicle. This leather is really, really nice, very soft. It covers the dash, the door panels. It really sort of completes the luxury feel of the interior here. For the quote-unquote entry-level Lexus, it's a really nice interior. Speaking of entry level, let's talk about the pricing a little bit. These start at about $36,000 for the front wheel drive base version. Our test version is the all-wheel drive and has the luxury package, all of the convenience options that you could imagine. It's about $45,000, and that starts to feel like a lot of money for this size SUV. Obviously, it's got a ton of features. You've got navigation, you've got all of the safety features you could imagine, heated, cooled seats. We've already talked about how nice the interior is, but it's still a small SUV after all, and $45,000 is a lot of money. This is powered by a 2-liter turbocharged engine with a 6-speed automatic. You know, with more and more cars coming with 8 speeds, you really do start to notice it when something has a 6-speed. 235 horsepower out of this 2-liter. It actually goes quite nicely. It's fairly heavy for the size of the vehicle, but it still does accelerate quite well. There's a unique sound, and I think part of that is because they're pumping the engine sound through the stereo, which I'm pretty sure there's a button to turn off in here, but it'd be pretty tough to find because there's so many buttons in here. You can't even kind of keep them all straight. There's all-wheel drive buttons over here, and then all of the safety features, and then in the center you've got all kinds of buttons for sport mode, and then brake hold, auto start stop, the parking brake, and then you've got the Lexus trackpad, which is again something that they really need to abandon as soon as possible. It's almost impossible to use while you're moving because it's so sensitive. It sounds like a video game, and it really you never end up getting the menu item that you're looking for. I'm really gonna sound like a broken record with this one, but again, we have all of these lights on the dash. You've got a nice LCD display between the two analog gauges, but you got all these lights telling you that the parking sensors are on, that the brake hold for when you stop at lights is on, eco mode, all of these things, but they're the really cheap looking backlit lights instead of a nice LCD. Again, as I've said before, these are things that we don't need to know that they're on. It's better if we knew if they were off. It's pretty clear who Lexus is marketing this NX to when you find this little piece in the center console that pops out, and it's got a makeup mirror here. So they're obviously kind of targeting this for the female buyer. You know, it's a very popular car for younger professional women, so this is definitely tailor-made for that buyer. With this luxury package, you get a 10-speaker enhanced Lexus audio system. You can also get a Mark Levinson system, but this one actually is really good. You don't really need to spend the extra money to get the Levinson. Another feature we like is this widescreen they've gone to now with most Lexus vehicles. You can kind of put the map and the radio or whatever else you're using, you can put them both on the screen. It makes a lot more usable space on the screen. I do wish, instead of this control system in the center, that it was an actual touchscreen though. I haven't sat in the back seat yet, but let's see what kind of features we have here. Let's check on the back of the center console. Usually there'll be some controls or something there. In this case, it looks like just two vents. There's no USB outlets, there's no controls, there's no nothing. So even though the backseat passengers get sliding and reclining seats, they don't really get any features. There's really not a lot of access ports at all here. You've got two USBs and a 12 volt that are inside the center console, and that's it. There's no other connections in here. So, you know, ultimately, if you want to charge multiple devices, you're going to need to get some splitters. Also, if you're an Apple user, you've got Apple CarPlay connectivity here, but those of us that use Android phones are out of luck. There's no Android Auto, so that's kind of an oversight considering how many people are Android users. When you really look at this Lexus NX300, you begin to realize exactly what these crossovers are all about. This is essentially a hatchback car. It's not much bigger than most cars. It sits a little bit higher, but no one's really going to take one off-road. It really is a car-like vehicle. That being said, a lot of people are buying these. It's very popular, so this is what people want these days. Lexus was one of the first to create these smaller crossover SUVs, and it's really plain to see that this is really just a car that's a little bit higher. It's kind of like hatchback sized. This one, however, does come with a steep price tag. And even though we love the leather on the inside of this version that we're testing, the $4,700 luxury package seems like a pretty steep option, but it's one of the things we like the most about this NX300. It's going to be up to you to decide if it's worth it or not.